We're now live. Good evening and welcome to Broadsheet on the Telly. My name is John Ryan. You're very welcome, particularly all Broadsheet readers and commenters. That's it. Great. And on our panel tonight is Johnny Keenan, Lucky, Neil Curran, and Olga Cronin. I just want to go straight to Lucky. Lucky is with the movement of asylum seekers. Sorry, hello to everybody first. To Johnny, to Neil, to Olga, hello. Hello there.
Hello.
You can wave to the people. Neil, you can wave to
Johnny.
Hi, Lucky.
Hi,
hello,
Johnny.
How's it going?
Lucky, I just wanted to come straight to you because you probably don't want to sort of hang around for the rest of the show, or maybe you do. Oh, you don't. Okay. Lucky, today was the Right to Work conference for direct provision, but it was also there was announcements of more evictions from direct provision centres of those facing deportation.
That's right. Yes, there was a statement from NASC about that. We had there was a conference organized by Cities of Sanctuary to look into the judgment on the right to work. It was a very successful kind of conference. There were a lot of former judge, the law economists looking into it, people looking into it. The all just agrees that there should be of a quick access to employment for those that seek asylum, continue to live a better life rather than being stuck in direct provision for as it has been happening in the past.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of presentations also looking into the European states. With the EU as well. So because Ireland is not operating on alone, and it's important that its policies are also in line with the EU and observing as well the constitution of the country.
Now, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the right to work. When does that kick in? When can direct provision start working? Well,
it's not as easy as that, because it set up a task force. The new minister set up a task force to look into that. They were given 6 months from May to come up with a legislation that will be seen as more humane current one. So now has this task force to look into that and go back to the Supreme Court. So only then, when the Supreme Court has received those by the government, then if they are okay with that, then we decided at that time when it will be. So we don't know how long it can be. We're anticipating that could be beginning of the year.
Okay.
It's a whole lot of process that's still to be followed.
Sure. And Lucky, the announcement of these evictions, you say they've been going on for the last couple of months, but now there's an ultimatum of 16 days, is it, before the there's a number of people facing deportations and they're being removed from the direct provision centers.
Yes, according to that statement from NASC, yes, people that have been with deportation orders been, given days to quickly to be removed from these centers. That's one part of the evictions which is happening. I just came now actually from a meeting that we had earlier with my colleagues with regard to the evictions on the radio when I was talking on the radio.
Yeah.
About the possible forceful removal by the state or the area of who have
got
received residency or asylum being approved or refugee status, but now because of the lack of housing,
yes,
which is a big problem here in Ireland and specifically in Dublin, where it is almost becoming practically impossible to get if you are in this system called payment, which is up.
Yeah.
It makes the landlords to be skeptical of getting that system because it is a lot of requirements from the landlords.
Yes.
Tax clearance and everything.
Look, just so. Do you know how many people have received eviction orders who have also have got citizenship or their asylum application has been received or accepted?
Here in my center, there are 4 people. There are 4 families, and it's myself. One of there's a lady from Ethiopia is single, and there's a female, a mother of 4, a child with special needs, another single mom with 3 kids, I think the same problem.
And they received how many? How much notice were you given, Lucky?
It's been July. They've been giving us these notices and extending. The last extension was on the 8th of September, which it was renewed then for 2 weeks. The 2 weeks expires the 22nd of September. So which was the final kind of eviction letter to say that we have to vacate this place and possibly will be moved to centers around temporarily until space. As residents, it's something that we don't. The problem that we are facing it's not through our own, doing.
Of course, yeah.
It's the crisis that everybody faces.
Of course, Lucky, just they're suggesting that they'll send you to another place.
Yeah, to another place. Yes.
Any idea what that might be?
In my situation, in my situation, they were sending me to some place called Longford.
Oh, yeah.
Longford, somewhere in the countryside, I think. And the other lady was going to be sent to Galway.
Right.
Yeah, they were just sending us anywhere where they feel that they can send us.
Okay, and the purpose is to free up the beds there, but...
Yeah, the purpose is to free the beds here so that they can put other people here. in this
is this more further asylum seekers, or is it the refugees from Greece, or?
No, it's for the asylum seekers as well, who are still waiting for their applications to be processed.
Okay.
Because they are moving us, because we are no longer waiting for our applications.
Yes, of course. But and in terms of your options, are they advising you on housing or anything like that? Has anybody come in to talk to you about that?
No. We're not getting any advice from their side as far as that is concerned. We just following the procedure that we go. There's a office here which is in Parkgate office. We go to that office. That's where we lodge our application.
Okay.
We go there, and they have got no place to give us. We are told to go to private accommodation like anybody else.
Okay.
Assistance.
Lucky, you were on drive time, but I also heard the junior minister, David Stanton, discussing this with the I think Mary Wilson, the presenter, and it was a very, very interesting interview. It seems to be.
What?
It was a very interesting interview in the sense that you could see the shift. They've a very, very hardened position, quite a very tough position the government are taking on this, aren't they?
Yeah, well, they are. I don't know. To me, it's easy for them. It's an easy thing for them to just shift the blame, instead of looking into the problem and talking as colleagues in various departments. It's easy, just get rid of and us in peace. Let other people deal with the housing problem. That's what it is. Deal with the housing problem, because the fact that we don't get houses is not their problem.
Yeah, and just to clarify, these people have been accepted for asylum status. Therefore, you've been allowed to work. The families have been allowed to work. Their argument is now you're on your own. You're making your own living. Okay, yeah. But it's not as easy as that. It's not as simple as that, presumably.
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. It's not as simple as that. It's not. Remember that. Everyone in this situation would have been in indirect provision to do anything for 4, 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah.
And suddenly you have to hit the ground running, everything your way. It doesn't happen like that.
Yeah.
It's a process. It's a process.
Well, Lucky, sorry. Lucky,
the same situation like anybody else.
Well, Lucky, maybe you join us next week, and we'll sort of keep monitoring the situation with you and the families there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, and listen, thank you very much for joining us tonight. You go off, and we'll chat about this, and hopefully see you next week.
All right. Good seeing you, Lucky.
Thanks, Lucky.
Thanks a lot.
Cheers.
Lucky. 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 Long for this and too bad.
Maybe for some, but not for me.
Okay, you're a city boy. I don't understand, man. I understand.
They don't call him Lucky for nothing.
I understand. I understand you, man.
Thank you very much for joining us.
All right.
Cheers, Lucky.
Bye, Lucky.
Bye.
Thank you. I was just saying that I'd heard this interview with David Stanton. I don't know if you know him. I don't know if you heard that, Jim, Johnny or Neil or Olga. But very tough on. It sounded cruel and petty and miserable.
What did he say?
Well, it was simply that it was ostensibly about those who are actually facing deportation, but they've got 16 days to clear from where they're living at the moment, irrespective of what they do, irrespective of whether they go back to, Somalia or wherever. I don't know. The situation then that Lucky's in is slightly different, as you know. He's
he got refugee status.
He got refugee status. Yeah. I mean, and the funny thing is, like, these people are also dealing, like, they get refugee status for reasons. So they're also dealing with a lot of trauma, and the direct provision centres are pretty bleak. And where do you go from there? Where do you get the deposit or as they say, those HAP accommodation? There's only 3% or something on DAFT, or 7% on DAFT or HAP apartments. So, Johnny?
Yeah, it's fucked up. Sorry, John. I know you put a stop on the cursing, but that's the first word that comes out. It's an F up, like, it really is. It's like Lucky's situation there. Lucky is like, I don't say it lightly. When Nolly introduced him to the panel there a few months ago, he has this kind of presence like Nelson Mandela or something. And he's going around to communities all over the country, just talking to people about relation to what asylum seeking and refugees, just basically informing people in small communities all over the country.
Yeah.
Justice. Like, so somebody should be employed by the Department of Justice in relation to keeping morale in the country. It's very.
Is it just me, or is Johnny just?
I wasn't sure if it was just me either as well.
Okay, so am I frozen? Am I?
Johnny,
can you hear me?
Can hear you.
Yeah, we got you now.
Can I hear you, Johnny?
Yeah,
Johnny, you're Johnny. I'm going to suggest. Oh, I have to say the trolls as well. Sorry, excuse me. I beg your pardon. Neil, sorry, Johnny. If you turn off your computer on and off, we're just going to go to Neil. Neil.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to add after what Johnny nearly said. I guess that given it doesn't get many votes, it's not going to get the priority it deserves. But it's an awful state of affairs altogether.
Yeah, I just Leo Varadkar's speech on Monday at the Think-In, or he spoke about the Republic of Opportunity, and it's how we treat our most vulnerable. He said that society will be judged. I can't really think of more vulnerable people than these people. It seems we're deliberately going out of our way to make life as impossible for them as we can. Olga?
It's a push factor, that whole idea that if you make it unpleasant, people won't come, But which I find really hard to believe. I don't think people actually go through that, Certainly in places like Greece and Italy, and people getting on boats, obviously different circumstances, but I just don't think that this idea of push and pull really is actually as relevant or as true as it's made out to be.
Well, these are, I think the phrase is dog whistle to the Fine Gael base, presumably. This appeals to, they come over here, they're taking our jobs, all this kind of mentality, but without being sort of going the full Trump, if you like. It's sort of, well, we're just doing, they're deported, so now they must leave their, places of stay, even though they've 7 years waiting to get this decision. And also in Lucky's case, I mean, he's fighting for everybody else's right. I mean, how the hell is he supposed to, find a place for his family, and spend so long sort of helping other people with their problems. Sorry, Johnny, are you back with us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you were suggesting, Johnny, that he be employed by the Department of Justice.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Olga. Yeah, like the man he's got so much charisma, so much decency, and he has the presence, as I said, of Nelson Mandela or someone like that. You know, just sees the real good in people, and he's been going all over the country anyway, off his own bat. He's been invited by small communities to kind of let people know exactly what's going on, and he's a great speaker, and a few times that I've met him, very very sincere about getting the thing sorted, as opposed to the ad nauseum of talk that's going on about direct provision. I think if he was asked, he probably has the strategy down for it as well. So someone like Lucky is great to have in the country, because he's not just fighting for civil rights for people in direct provision. I think he can show and lead by example that there is actually a lot to be done from people communicating and working together, and not being divided by this. Oh well, you're lucky to be here, aren't you? Aren't you better off here than where you came from? All this kind of ignorant shit that the likes of Drive Time would thrive on. To bring, I didn't hear that guy John, but I'm hearing him every day of the week. Just yeah, the guy who was brought on to talk with Lucky, yeah.
Well, he was the one guy who wasn't down the ploughing or something. The one guy they found just to. Well, he's the junior minister for integration or something, immigration. He sounded. It sounded very dark, anyway. Dark kind of Leo sort of welfare cheats.
Yeah, well, we can't buy into this. This is a game they're playing. The Fine Gael are playing at going down to the middle of a field and Offaly. I've been trying to do that for years, get people into a field in Offaly, and no one will come. But I've all been about one love and coming together in peace and harmony, all colours of the world. But unless there's big machinery there, people aren't interested. But but no, seriously, like that was the same thing with the cannonball thing, and I was on the same day as the one down in Kilkenny. And people just wanted to have their kids in a cloud of carbon monoxide. And, okay, right, whatever. Yeah. But we need to get real about it, like in relation to what happens with homelessness and what happens with direct provision. It's the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. It's people being mistreated. So it's not like we need to look after our own. And this thing has been going on for weeks on end. It's
Johnny, I feel like we often talk about that generation, the last generation, the older, maybe in their 70s now or whatever. And why didn't they do something about the Magdalens and stuff? They were still going in the 70s, 60s. There were ads in the Irish Times for, get your linen from,
Limerick linen.
From the, fallen women and all that.
1996 was the last one was open until 1996, so it's not that long ago.
Yeah, amazing. But these direct provision centres, and I'm not suggesting what went on in Magdalen Laundries is going on in these direct provision centres, but who knows? I mean, what the hell's going on in these places? Nobody's sort of really allowed in there. We hear terrible stories. I mean, we have over the last whatever.
Yeah, like remember Brian O'Connell did a really good series on RTE. Remember down Mount Trenchard in Limerick? I think, can't remember how many men were in there, but just sounded absolutely awful. Actually, I mean, I went down there with a friend one time. She wanted to do a kind of an art project thing, but we weren't allowed. We were told to get out. We knocked on the door. Just, you're not allowed, which I understand for security reasons, obviously, with children and whatever. But complete kind of secrecy and then the kind of the.
Well, look at the stories from our crashes or the old people's homes. I mean, you can only imagine what may be happening there in those places, and also, this is not us. Surely, this is not Ireland, Irish people. This is not how we are, or how we want to be. It's like I know Fine Gael want us to give off that appearance, but it's not genuinely who we are. I certainly don't think that. Can you imagine a carpenter in Brooklyn, an Irish carpenter in Brooklyn, sent off to the direct provision centre 6 years or something? God gets his decisions, given 2 weeks to get out and get back to his country. Or say if he's from the north and he's fallen out with one of the UVF or IRA or whatever, you can't come back. I mean, anyway.
It's just knowing, John. It's like we know it and we still allow it to happen. I can't understand this. Like, it's not as though, you know, this is a revelation. We've been going on about this for the last few months.
Yeah, but I guess there's very little political capital, isn't there? I mean, you know, does Dave Stanton think that he's going to get more votes if he does something radically different? I don't think he thinks that, and I don't think it's not like the newspapers are a kind of a story of currency. I hate to say that's horrible to say, but you know what I mean. It doesn't have.
No. There's nothing in it. I mean, nothing in it. It's like homeless. There's absolutely nothing. Again, absolutely nothing. However, like in about 20 years' time, when I'm gone or whatever, but there'll be adult children. Adult children from direct provision on the Late Late Show explaining to the nation what was going on.
Yeah.
Possibly
in the Dáil then at that stage, hopefully.
But that may not happen because, you know, the longer it goes on, the more it becomes the norm. You know, you look at other countries where, you know, when you're in the west coast of North America and you see the level of homelessness and people on the street who have mental health issues, and it's just normal, accepted part of, you know, your day to day that you're stepping over people and local people. You know, you don't see certainly from my time there, you don't see it talked about in the way that you would want to see it for something that has been so that's an epidemic. Well, I don't even know that's the right word to use, but that's just so prevalent in society. And I guess that's the danger here, is that the longer this goes on, the more normal it becomes, and thus leading to people accepting it because it's always been like that. And that's a real danger. If that happens, we're beyond that point.
Well, you see it in the comment section, not, you know, from the trolls sometimes. That there is a kind of a nihilism around certainly direct provision and certainly the homeless. There's a kind of sense where, you know, any humanity just disappears on these subjects. But I'll say it again, like, you know, I don't have kids. You're about to be a father, you know, Neil. You know, we know that this is going to happen. We know that whoever's doing Liveline in 15, 20 years will be doing episodes on these stories. There must be something that can be done tangibly now.
I don't know. I mean, are these going to be the stories? You know, wasn't that story on?
I think sorry to interrupt. I think they are, because it started in 1999. So that's like what's that? Nearly 20 years. And so you'll probably have kids who were possibly born, who are now just, you know, probably have their residency, you know, have refugee status, possibly in college. They're just going into the workforce now. They're just getting kind of sorted. I think they will. I think they will be talking about it.
Well, hopefully, but I have a somewhat cynical view on it. Mm. You know, I guess when that story on Joe Duffy this week where reached the newspapers about somebody's wedding being cancelled, you know, it seems like stories like that become front page news and the real stories just disappear unless they're talked about here, I guess.
Yeah, well,
you're saying Joe Duffy's going to be around in 20 years' time, John?
He's a Disney.
There's nothing to look forward to.
He's a Disney character. He's not a real person.
But like, can I just say something there in relation to the housing crisis and as I said, I'm going to talk about this as one. It's about putting a roof over people's head and giving them food. Another man died tonight, like 41, and he was living in a tent in Bray. You know, that was fifth news story on the news this evening. There'll be people dying in the next few weeks, and they won't get mentioned at all. Like, there's people in tents underneath motorways and in building sites in Dublin, in tents, like, because that's all they have. And they can pick up a tent anywhere now at this stage. I think there was about maybe a few thousand left after the electric picnic. But, like, it's just no one cares, man. No one in government cares. That is the bottom line. And that's the state of the world we live in. Neil pointed out in America, if this can happen in America, it can happen anywhere. Just human decency is gone. We've become so desensitized. I think it started after 9/11 when they went into Afghanistan and Iraq, when drone attacks don't, it's just a video game. I'm not going off point. I'm just saying that people don't really care. And the fear. Well, no. Here's the thing. It's a fear thing, John. So it's like, are we going to? Are we afraid of home and giving people a home in relation to direct provision, or getting them on the property ladder, or a fair rent? Is there a big discussion here? It's the haves and have-nots. It's the survival of the fittest. That's not an Ireland I want to live in. No, and I see it every day. It's either if you're not good enough, it's survival of the fittest. It's a hate society we're forming now. It's not a compassionate society. Joe Duffy doesn't give a fuck. He doesn't. With Liveline, he'll highlight. But what are we going to do about it? Like, is there going to be a campaign? Because I'm not really into this thing on a Thursday night of highlighting the same stuff. It's very depressing for me, John. I just want to see a strategy in place where people start giving a fuck. There's enough money in the country. 5.5 billion, 5.5 billion, 5.5 billion. I've been hearing that for the last 5 months. When is it going to be spent? It's just really, it's so depressing. Yeah. The news stories, and nothing positive is being done.
Okay, well, I suppose there's one positive story that in this week is the Ryanair story. Because I got to say, a lot of us have been predicting this day that this week would come when, after 20 years of Michael O'Leary should be running the country. I go to Neil. Neil, you were probably one of those guys that said Michael O'Leary should be running the country.
No, I wasn't actually. I like O'Leary, but I knew he'd be the bad man for the job. But before we go to town on O'Leary and Ryanair and give the punters what they want to hear, his AGM, the comments he made appeased the markets. Shareholders. Well, there was a sentiment of satisfaction from the markets at his explanation. So it'll be interesting to see where things go from here. So, at the end of the day, money talks. The only people that he used to keep happy are the shareholders.
I don't know. I mean, I feel this has got some legs on it. And I saw his first press conference, and I've never seen O'Leary so rattled. As a seasoned O'Leary watcher, he certainly seemed very, very caught by this, and it was an impulsive decision, I think. And I think he's fighting a war he can't win.
I think the spin didn't work this time round. I get the feeling that certainly the comments about pilots going to Norwegian, that it feels like that wasn't part of their strategy and how they'd handle this with the media, because it felt like there was every media source was given a different speculated explanation for the cancellations. So yeah, he doesn't, feels like he doesn't have any control over this one. A lot of reputation damage here for Ryanair, unfortunately, which isn't good for low cost travel.
Well, everybody sort of said, "Oh, Ryanair it's a fantastic ad for Ireland and everything like that." And I felt traveling around, Neil, I don't know if you agree, Johnny or Olga, that it's sort of kind of a cringe, really, when you sort of say Ryanair, not just for this kind of stuff, but I never understood. Ryanair was founded on the back as the model for Ryanair was Southwest Airlines in America.
Southwest without the smile. Southwest are very customer friendly.
That was the thing, wasn't it? Southwest did Ryanair, but with decency.
Yeah, Southwest are great.
And why couldn't Ryanair do that?
You have to ask Mick that.
We have to pay people to smile.
Well, just because it was probably obviously so no frills that everyone was just at.
Yeah, well, didn't he make? He wanted to make it that when you get on a plane, it's no different than getting on a bus, which is a fair view to take to kind of take away that whole sense of uppity about getting on a plane.
But that's
he did that.
That's O'Leary's. You see, this guy is like a real, he's the ultimate chancer. Here's this Congo's educated, MBA, Tony Ryan's PA or whatever. He thinks that's how people are treated on buses, and bus drivers are not like that. Bus drivers don't treat you like the way my mother's been treated on Ryanair, or your family have been treated, or your. It all came. Sorry, Johnny. Please. Sorry.
No, sorry. No. You were making a point there, John. I apologize.
No. My point being that he thinks we're livestock. Basically, he's part of an elite that think we're livestock. His mannerism is part of the man of the people, but he's into. He actually doesn't care, and this is how he gets his kicks.
Well, you're paying for nothing.
Sorry, Johnny.
No, go on. Sorry.
I was just going to say he was supplying the demand. I mean,
no, that's fine. But Southwest,
well, because it's so cheap, he says, well, you don't have to take it, but you do appreciate you are getting a reasonably good product for little or nothing. But then, in actual fact, when you add it up, there is extra taxes, and I don't know. I went to the grand recent one, but
that the company's personality comes down from the top. You look at News Talk and you think of Dennis O'Brien. You look at Ryanair, you think of Michael O'Leary. It imbues the staff with that arrogance, the same type of stuff that he's got. And sure, Michael, sir.
Yeah, he doesn't do unions. I don't think he'd be. I think it's Norwegian Air after putting the skids underneath him. He's had the market. The monopoly on the market, well, not the monopoly, but he's been leading the market in relation to, August said, No Frills airline for years. And now Norwegian Air are coming in and playing him at his own game, and he's on the back foot. And as you say, he is shot. And I don't think he'd give a shit. Michael O'Leary does not care about anything. He was even quick enough to talk about his own bonus, whether he might lose that. Because that's on performance. Or maybe he was just saying, we all have to work hard or something.
I don't know. I saw this. I saw kind of a dry mouth of somebody who.
Yeah. I wouldn't like to think Michael O'Leary is an Irish ambassador. I wouldn't like to think that Ryanair are an Irish air company. I just think he's a businessman.
What can be more damaging for a transport company than them just cancelling a shitload of flights because
400,000 people
didn't get the rota right? I mean, if you can't rely on a plane ticket. You're just not going to buy it. Of course.
And that was always his thing, wasn't it? That he'll get you there on time.
Yeah,
Isn't this a fascinating thing that's going on? He's throwing money now at the pilots, right? And he's going to see if, he's a guy who knows the price of everything, the value of nothing. He's going to see. He's putting it to the pilots. This could be the end of O'Leary, and it could be the end of Ryanair as we know it.
I don't know if that would happen. I think what he's doing with the money, because he threw a paltry amount to pilots, certainly not to the rest of us, but to pilots when you factor in the tax. But I think I sense he did that to gauge the response to see where the real number is. Because if he goes in too high, they know he's on the back foot.
You think he's so clever, Neil? You think he's so clever that he's almost planned all this? I promise you, this is.
I tell you, I know people call him a chancer, right? But the guy, you can only get away with being a chancer for so long before you're rumbled, and the guy has yet to be rumbled. Now, this could be, his chink in his Achilles heel or whatever the expression is. But you have to look at the clever strategic decisions he's made over the decades. Ryanair is more Irish than a pint of Guinness is nowadays. Sorry, Johnny.
No, I don't think. No. Aer Lingus is known as the Irish.
Aer Lingus is owned by AIG.
Yeah, but it's still known as the Irish, same way as British Airways, same way as KLF or KMF, whatever. Ryanair is just a tiny one I know who's European. Not many of them would know even that. Maybe he has the harp on his planes. Maybe that might be something. But no, I don't think it's that well known.
Yeah. It is now. And it would be known that Ryanair is Irish.
Well, all that PR about being sort of a decent company, or we're nice now, we're no longer sociopathic, we're going to be kind and all that, and that's completely overturned now. That must have been billions they spent on that kind of.
Well, it's overturned in terms of you know, it hasn't changed. The staff haven't changed. I don't have a problem flying Ryanair. It's a bit like I was going to name a company, but it's a bit like the people who provide internet to your house. It works great until there's a problem, and when there's a problem, it goes disastrously wrong, and that tends to be how most airlines operate anyway. But the staff have been great. I mean, as long as you abide by their rules, and assuming they don't leave you stranded like Aer Lingus did to those people in Lanzarote, you know, they do what they say on the tin, and they do it with a smile nowadays, and that's great. But
there's a lot of people trying to take him down as well. This is like, you know, first-rate news. I think, you know, because he's been so high and mighty down through the years, many people are out for his scalp.
But we love that, Johnny, though. Won't we love that begrudgery taking people down a notch?
No, I'm not begrudging Michael O'Leary. He was always a wanker, you know. Sorry.
Yeah, you see, I'd say O'Leary is on the phone to Bono at the moment, saying, "Oh, they got me at last."
What he said about his own kids was enough for me, you know.
What did he say?
He says they're like farts, you tolerate your own. Yeah, come on. I'm talking about children there, man. I just thought, you know, that's a sign of the guy, all right. Fair enough.
Well, Olga, you were at the Disclosures Tribunal this week, and this was the module that's sort of dealing with Keith Harrison's complaints or issues. Keith Harrison is a whistleblower,
So Keith wouldn't be at all as widely known as Maurice McCabe, but he claims that he made it known he raised his concerns in 2008 that he had suspicions about a guard who he believed had been involved in the sale of drugs in Athlone, and nothing happened on foot of him making this known. And then maybe 6 months later, he arrested this person for drunk driving. And basically, Keith Harrison claimed that his life has been very difficult since. Anyway, the reason why he's in the tribunal is specific to Tusla and specific to things that have happened with representations that were made, or basically, communications between the Gardaí, Tusla, and his family. And very unlike Maurice McCabe, the Maurice McCabe module so far, where they just discussed a specific referral, a specific report, and where the journey of it, if you like. The last couple of days, we've just heard of all these different events, and they're not very connected, but it's starting to kind of form a picture. And basically, what they've heard about. So basically, Keith Harrison is in a relationship with a woman called Marissa Sims. That's her married name. She's no longer married, obviously. But she is the sister of a man called Martin McDermott. And Martin McDermott rammed into a patrol car and killed a guard in 2009 in Donegal. And this guard was working in the Buncrana station in Donegal at the time. So that was in 2009. And when Keith and Marissa actually had gone out with each other when they were in college in Galway in the early noughties, years before whatever happened with Martin McDermott. But then they went their separate ways, got married, but then their marriages broke up, they got back together. When everything was happening in Athlone with Keith Harrison, he wanted to leave, and so he went to Donegal. He applied to go to Donegal, but he was sent to Buncrana. He never actually applied for Buncrana, but he was sent to Buncrana. So he was sent to the same station where this man had died, and he was in a relationship with the sister of the man who killed this guard.
Okay.
Now Keith Harrison never disclosed this to anyone, any of the guards, but it emerged. Okay, it got out, and it got out because of an incident that they referred to in earlier this week. But we don't know the details because they didn't go through the details. But apparently, it was a domestic incident between Marissa Sims and her ex-husband. Anyway, then it came out that Keith Harrison was in fact going out with the sister of this man who killed their colleague. So it was there was a meeting. There's discrepancies between what Keith Harrison says the meeting was, what the meeting was like, and what other people who were at the meeting, what they said it was like. But basically, he had to get out of Buncrana, and he was transferred out of Buncrana to Donegal town. So anyway, we've heard all about that. so this is, I know it's all kind of all over the place.
It is actually. I just wanted to say that there's a piece called headlined "Meanwhile at the Disclosures Tribunal" that has a
very long.
I'll go with the reason we might be looking tired this week is because I'll get put an all-nighter and nobody's had time to. Anyway, it's all there in.
So far, yeah. Essentially,
just detail.
Yeah, without
Would this be there are echoes of Maurice McCabe's?
There are, but they're very different because what the tribunal has heard they've heard of incidents, domestic disputes between Keith Harrison and Marissa Sims, and it does not make for very pleasant reading at all. However, there were a number of incidents where members of Marissa's family who did not like Keith Harrison made representations to the guards, and obviously the guards had, took different actions. But I guess this is what Peter Charlton's going to have to decide upon, whether they were the right actions and what happened and what followed with Tusla was correct, or if this was something that was orchestrated.
Okay.
And this is what they're trying to. But already, you have Marissa's mother, who was very central to making the guards aware of certain things that she claimed were happening, but that she only heard from hearsay, claims against Keith Harrison, how he was apparently treating Marissa. And then today she went in and basically it was put to her, okay, you went back to the tribunal last month and you have said what I said in a statement years ago was actually not correct, and I never said that.
Yeah. And
so that was put to her today, saying, you do realize by saying that you're claiming that the guards made that up in your statement from 2013. So she made a statement in 2013.
Yeah.
She said something different to tribunal.
And she said it had been embellished by the guards.
She just said that she didn't say it, and so she was basically saying there were certain things that she had put in her statement, and then she said she told the tribunal last month, no, I didn't say that. And so the barrister today for the Gardaí who were there with her when she made her statement was like, you do realize by saying what you're saying, you're inferring that the Gardaí made it up.
Yeah.
And she's saying, I can't remember. So it got very tricky to the point that Charlton actually had to direct her and say, you don't have to answer that particular question at one point, because he was like, you might incriminate yourself because, if you did.
Was her meeting with the task force, was that taped?
Was her, sorry, say again? Was the task Tusla? No.
She said to the tribunal task force team that met her, she said that the things have been embellished.
I don't recall those words, John. Sorry. Perhaps this is in a report that I didn't.
No, Marissa's mother said that she previously said that the guards had embellished her story, or she came to report something and the report was not what she had reported.
Yeah, I think, you see, Marissa also made a statement and also came back later and said that there were things that was pre-prepared. I think that's what you might be referring to. So that's a whole other thing. Marissa made a statement. That's okay. So Marissa made a statement back in 2013, which was fairly damning about Keith. Then she went to withdraw it. But when she claims that when she went to withdraw it, that the inspector had a pre-prepared statement of withdrawal, but in the withdrawal it said that her statement was true. So, and also just to say that statement, the statements that they both made were sent to GSOC, and then they found out today that, that was sent in under a particular section of the Garda Act, which shouldn't have been sent under, all this kind of stuff. So it's all a bit messy at the moment because it's just very disparate. But Keith Harrison and Marissa Sims will be giving evidence early next week.
Oh, right.
Because another thing that I should say is that Peter Charlton at several he definitely seems a bit more tetchy, if I'm allowed to say that. I have to say, I think he is very. I believe that he is definitely trying to get to the truth.
With the counsel, is Mark Harty the counsel for?
Mark Harty is the counsel for Keith Harrison, yeah.
Right, he's a barrister, is he?
He's a barrister, yeah.
And him and Charlton aren't getting on at all.
Well, it's not that they're getting on, it's just that sometimes, a couple of occasions, there've been a witness, and it's difficult when you're watching because we're not privy to all the documentation, right? But Charlton will step in and say, hang on a second, your client has said X, Y, and Z about this witness in his statement. Why haven't you put those claims to this witness? And on several occasions, Peter Charlton did step in and put questions to certain witnesses that Mr. Harty wasn't doing. But Mr. Harty was kind of, like, on different occasions, he was kind of saying, well, it's not for this module, or it's, you know. But definitely seems a bit touched. Yeah, yeah, there definitely have been exchanges, let's say. So
right. And so just to clarify, then Marissa is standing by Keith's version of Keith Harrison's version of all these.
Yeah.
She's going to say that these things didn't happen, right?
She's going to say that so basically, in a nutshell, it's been claimed that, you know, basically Keith Harrison threw her out of the house several times, out in her pajamas, blah, blah, blah.
And she's going to say that she left herself.
She left of her own accord, and that, yes, they might have had tips, but she left of her own accord, and all of this. So, yeah. So, but I mean.
So what this has in if the allegations are, if Keith Harrison's allegations are correct, it's the same ploy that they tried with Morris. It was go for the personal life, you know.
Yeah, if that's found, yeah. I mean, I guess they have to find it from Maurice McCabe as well. But if it's a case, I guess that's the whole reason, and that's the reason he got in, was because Keith Harrison was arguing. We had TUSLA involved in our family. We had the HSC involved in our family. There was claims about, you know, safety of kids and all the rest. And their claim is that in the same way, this is something that happened to Maurice McCabe. So they're very different, but they're trying to, I guess they're just arguing there's a pattern. And so if there is.
And again, I just recommend the, meanwhile, at the disclosures today, it's only about 20 words.
I know. They're too long. I know they're too long. It's just that you can't sum it up in 500 words. But
no, you can't, can you?
You really can't.
I'm joking. And Neil, I know I always go to you during about Garda stories, but any feelings on? Do you detect a pattern at the tribunal, Neil?
Yeah, I know. I was kind of relying on Olga's update there to be brought up to speed because it's been a busy week. But yeah, we're looking at another McCabe from the sound of it. I was also during the week. Now I didn't catch the beginning of the segment, so this could be something from 20 years ago. But there, I think it was Radio 1 where they had a guard on whose voice was covered, who had allegedly witnessed a guard at his or her precinct. I think it was a female guard at her precinct or her station that was blowing into a breathalyzer and doing up reports. That was also talked about this week. I'm not sure. I didn't catch the beginning of it. I didn't see it in the news around that time, so I don't know if it's new or old. But yeah, it's the McCabe thing all over. But not disbanded.
Sorry, is this the woman who was on Sunday this week on RTE?
I can't even remember what day of the week it was, but yeah.
It was Sunday.
Okay, so
she witnessed a lot of blowing going on, and
she was a clerical officer, and she just walked in, and this guy was like, "I'm just."
Nothing to see here.
I'm sorry for the swearing earlier as well. Jesus.
Same to you.
Just
sorry for the blasphemy there, John.
Just chaotic. Before we go, Olga, the papers are now up. If you want to.
Oh, sure. Okay. Let me see. We just have the Examiner. Is that right?
No, the Times Ireland edition and the Irish Daily Mail.
Oh, have you added them? Oh, well done.
They're added, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Okay. 2 seconds.
Okay. Well, no,
not
sorry. It's all plowing anyway.
Is it?
Yeah.
Go on.
Sorry, we were
there?
intending to come live from the ploughing, but we...
RT was hogging all the media space.
My computer isn't the best. Okay, so there's the Times Ireland edition. So Theresa May, I'm guessing at the top there, she's giving her speech tomorrow. Varadkar to help those who pay for everything. Taoiseach says state can't heal all society's ills.
Yeah.
Isn't that reminiscent of his leadership speech? Sorry, my computer's frozen, John. I can't move that. Isn't that what he said in his leadership campaign?
Well, it's the early riser, people who pay for everything. It's, you know, divide and whatever he's going to do, but I don't think he's going to rule. I think this is well, I've said it before, I don't think this is a great strategy, but go on. Yeah,
John, my laptop was actually frozen. I can't do anything.
Oh, you can't share the thing?
I can't actually do anything. My laptop's just frozen. Sorry.
Oh, okay, not to worry.
Here, I'll just shut down myself so I can get away so you guys can chat. Sorry, I don't know what else I can do.
Okay, well, Varadkar, the cover of the the Times London Irish edition is the Varadkar thing. The Cabinet warned over budget kites. HSE and Gardaí ordered to release key reports. And the former tax office to be knocked down after 2 fires. That seems a very unfortunate tax office in Cork. Nothing to see there, obviously. And 1/3 of farmers don't think farming hits climate. Although I understand that we're the greatest producers of cow methane. That's our biggest pollutant, isn't it?
Allegedly, yeah.
Okay. Outside Leinster House.
Wasn't there supposed to be a trial of a different feed or something? And the government are reluctant to move to this feed or whatever it is. But it's been successfully used in other countries. I don't know. Could be talking through my hole here, but that's
isn't that what happens? Not through you, Neil, but you know the whole methane stuff.
80% of farmers believe climate change is real, and 61% have implemented measures on their farm to reduce agricultural greenhouse gas emissions, with younger farmers and those with larger farms more likely to have done so. Okay, on that bombshell, we'll say goodnight. Thank you very much for joining us on Broadsheet on the Telly. Johnny, what's Lucky's second surname?
It begins with K. Karat? No, I'm not even going to try and pronounce it. Sorry.
Go on, try and pronounce it, Johnny. Go on.
No. I only insult many of his tribe.
Can I have Johnny? Can I ask you? Are you wearing a shirt or is that your dress? Is that your dressing gown? Dying to know.
No, it's the shirt, man. But it could double up as a dressing gown.
I was hoping that because you're under the weather, you were there in your smoking jacket or your dressing gown.
Yeah, no, I'm expecting a call from Hef. Well, it's my smoking shirt as well, Lonnie.
Good.
It's a nice shirt.
Thanks.
Okay, well, we're going to leave it there. We'll be back on site tomorrow morning, and please join us next Thursday night for more Broadsheet on the Telly. From me, John Prosser, Johnny Keane, and Neil Curran, Olga Cronin, Lucky, K unpronounceable, and we'll hopefully see you next week or see you on the site in the morning. Thank you very much. Namaste. Okay, awkward silence.